The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog and join the Progressive Army. And now, ladies and gentlemen,
we are now about to witness the truth.
It's the Benjamin Dixon Show.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Benjamin Dixon Show. I am, of course, your host, Benjamin Dixon. It is Thursday, July 7th, 2016. Thank you so much for joining us. Where do you start? I mean, where do we begin? We no sooner than we left last night. We hadn't even gotten a chance to mourn Alton Sterling. Right, we were just commenting on the magnitude of this situation, clearly for the family, right? Clearly for that 15-year-old son who was crying out for his dad. And then we were talking about the effects that it has on people who have to consume this, right? You know, I guess you have an option of not seeing it and viewing it. But if you want to know what's going on in the world, then you watch this. And we were just talking about the type of trauma that it causes and the type of impact that it has. And we don't even realize the impact that it's having. So no sooner than we get done with that conversation, here we are talking about Philando Castile. And not just talking about it, but because of the wonders of social media, the unfortunate wonders at this point, people actually witnessed this young man dying in his car, or at least fading away. He ultimately died later, shot in front of his girlfriend by a Minnesota police officer, shot in front of his girlfriend's daughter, and just so much to say about. I don't even want to compliment her on how strong she was in that situation, because we just got through talking about why is it that we have to be strong? Why is it such a great thing that she had to be strong in the middle of this horrific? Why does she have to go through that and demonstrate her strength? Right? I get it. It's a great thing that she was like this unbelievably strong person, but why does she have to demonstrate that strength and go through that? And then to have her daughter have to console her. Her little daughter had to assure her that everything was going to be all right. I'm here, mommy. Everything is fine. All because of a police officer being afraid of a black man. I mean, you could hear it in his voice. You could hear how this officer was just petrified. You could hear him shaking. Like, here he is. He is the one with the power in his hands. He's already shot the man 5 times. And he's still terrified. Of course, his adrenaline is pumping. He's probably thinking about everything that's going to happen to him, and rightfully so. You just shot someone who you told to reach to get your identification. He lets you know that I have a gun. I'm licensed to carry. I'm getting my identification. And apparently he made a move that you didn't like. And so now he's dead. And no sooner than we get a chance to not get a chance. We didn't get a chance to even mourn Alton. Still finding out information about him, how it was a homeless person who had been asking him for money, who ultimately called the police, and the police came. And then you see this collision of factors of poverty, because Alton was in front of the store selling CDs so he could make money for his family. Poverty, homelessness, and race. And we sit around and we talk about all of this that's happening in real time, and we're absorbing it real time, and we're not even given a chance to absorb it properly before we have to confront the very next one. And yet and still in the middle of all of this, you have people who are trying their damnedest to find a way to invalidate our pain, our anger, our frustration, to invalidate our compassion and our identification and solidarity with these people who have been killed by the police. The police have been busy this week. I mean, And I know I don't even have to say this. I know I don't have to say this for my audience. I don't have to say this for my friends and my family, because I have police officers in my family. There's no need for us to even talk about the fact that there are good police officers. The question is, when are we going to crack down on the bad ones? And the problem is that not a police officer may not manifest as being a bad police officer until they're in a situation where they have this innate fear, this irrational and subconscious level fear of this black person in front of them. The governor of Minnesota said that he doesn't believe that if it was a white person that this would have happened. Well, no shit, Sherlock. It would not have happened. Not in this exact scenario, right? There are other scenarios where you do see police officers killing white people. But how many times do we see, I think it's African-American men, 6% of the population, and 40% of the people who are killed unarmed and killed by the police officers. That's because there is this fear of blackness that we talked about last night, and thought that we had enough time to unpack it and hopefully just let the healing process begin. But no sooner than you get on the train to go home, here's another one. And of course, there's frustration. Of course, there's anger, and you know, there's a sense of helplessness, because what do you do? Because the system is designed to protect the police officers. And when I mean protect, of course, we're not going to subject them to physical harm, but the system is designed to give the police officers the benefit of the doubt, like to the utmost, right? They get the benefit of the doubt because they need to have the liberty to do their job, right? And so there's a scale, there's a sliding scale of benefit of the doubt that we give police officers. And so time and time again, we see police officers able to get off, not because for whatever reason you want to categorize it, but the real reason is because this system is designed to protect them. The system is designed to protect them and to give them cover. And this is why they get off time and time again. And here we are. So if we're not going to confront it on the back end after they've committed a crime, then we sure as hell have to confront it on the front end before they even do it, before they kill someone unnecessarily. And how many examples do we have of, in other countries, police officers disarming someone without killing them? But it's just this militarized mentality here in the United States, this cowboy mentality, combined with the fear of blackness that is just rampant in this country. And we're right back to square one. And unfortunately, that square one means someone is dead. 857-600-0518. I want to know how you're feeling. I want to know what you're thinking. I'm going to do my best to talk about some other things tonight, because we can, and maybe we should, rightfully so, talk about Philando the entire night. But I'm just because it's not healthy. I don't know. At this point, I have no idea if it's healthy or not. Maybe it's healthy to talk about it. Maybe it's healthy to try not to talk about it. Who knows? But I'm going to try to at least talk about some other things in the news. James Comey, who testified before the House committee today with Chairman Jason Chaffetz. We're going to talk about that. Bernie Sanders possibly endorsing Hillary Clinton. I'm going to try to talk about that. But first, let's talk about the second Philando Castile. Caller, you're live on the air. What's your name, comment, and or question?
Hey, man, it's Bryce.
Bryce, what's going on, man? Welcome to the call.
Doing good. So obviously we're back to square one again. And when I was messaging you on Twitter, Obama did say a couple of things about the situation. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he spent I think 10, 15 minutes on it. And of course I do understand the anger and the frustration with him not, I guess, doing enough or getting more involved or getting to a point. But when you have a system like this, and then you have a black president, I don't know how much that's going to change.
Right.
Or even if he went out, even if he goes out and make some demands or do what we want him to do, they can still say, fuck you, you're black, or they can still, do stuff anyway. So I don't know how much that is going to help. I think it's more of a group effort. Like, I think, we need to come together and unify more in a group effort and not put it on one person and then get mad. Like, well, you didn't do this, you didn't do enough. Well, why does he have to do this and this and the third when we need to do this together? And I'm not, like I always say, I never make excuses. I will be critical, but I also want to speak facts because it's not just this one man. It's like we have to do this together, and it's sad that we basically screwed over a candidate that should be about to be president, Bernie Sanders, and, we just have to change the system ourselves. We have to vote ourselves. Things that you talked about before, the things that we have to do ourselves together, and I think it will change. But if not, if we just put the blame or we just put on one person or do this and the third, we're going to continue to have this.
Yep. Bryce, I agree with you 100%, man. Thanks for the call. 857-600-0518. So I know President Obama speaking on it is not going to do anything. It's the whole damn system. And I know I tweeted that out today, and I know you guys already know what I'm getting ready to say, but yes, I'm getting ready to say it. It's the whole damn system. President Obama's role, and not even President Obama's role, the role of the presidency is not really one to take care of the people anymore. The role of the presidency is to protect and the institutions, right? The practices, to increase commerce, to spread our capitalistic system abroad. Not because that's what the Constitution tells the president to do, but that's what the president has been doing for at least the last 50 years. So it's the role of the presidency that has changed over the years, which is why President Obama speaking on it won't do anything, because President Obama is going to be signing legislation into law that protects the system instead of rearranging and changing the system, rather. He's going to protect the system. Does that make him our enemy? In certain regards, on certain issues, when he's signing the Blue Lives Matter Act into law, when he's when he's gutting the safety nets, he's not on our side for everything. You can call him enemy, you can call him political rival, I don't care what you call him, but he sure as hell is not on our side. And I love him. I love and respect President Obama. I would gladly shake his hand and go grab a coffee with him, because I'm not drinking anymore like I used to. But but still, that doesn't change the fundamental fact that he's not here to serve us. He's not. Not because he dislikes us, but because that's the way our system is set up. And it's the entire system that is the problem. The Department of Justice getting involved in these investigations will not do anything, because the laws are structured to protect the police officers. And the hurdle that they have to overcome is so high to prove any type of civil rights violation, right? Because that's generally what this is going to fall under. Did they have a violation of life, liberty, civil rights violations? The hurdle is so high. The threshold is so high. Good luck getting any type of conviction or indictment even from the Department of Justice. So it's the entire system, the role of the presidency, the Department of Justice, our politicians. You had a politician in Louisiana, and I forgot her name. Maybe I can find it, but she was out talking about how Baton Rouge isn't like Ferguson, right? Throwing Ferguson underneath the bus as though that was something that was positive, right? Because nobody was angry enough to burn something down, we're going to throw Ferguson underneath the bus. But yet and still, she's one of the people who voted in favor of the Blue Lives Matter law there in Louisiana. So it's the role of the president. It's the Department of Justice. It's our elected officials, Democrat and Republican. It's the entire system. And if we're going to fix, it's the mindsets of the people. It's these slow talking politicians and preachers who are just there to entertain us and not do anything to change the community. It's the mindsets of the people. It's everybody, everything. We all contribute to this system, and if we don't start changing it one person at a time, one city at a time, one state at a time, we'll forever be waiting on great speeches from great leaders and never seeing anything change. That's the problem. Caller, you're live on the air. What's your name, comment, and or question?
Hey, Ben, it's Jimmy Mack giving a call to you from San Diego. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, Jimmy. How's it going on your end, man?
Pretty good, man. I mean, I haven't talked to you since February, since we were talking
it's been
about
a while, man.
Bernie Sanders. And yeah. I still been following you, man, but I haven't talked to you since February. But, brother, I called in because I'm a native of Louisiana, and my mom, she taught at LSU, and so a lot of my upbringing was in Baton Rouge, and the police are corrupt. Everybody knows it. It's not. It's really archaic the way they treat black people in Louisiana. You might as well think it's slavery times, Jim Crow, all over again, because it really hasn't changed. So, being a native of the state and watching what they did to, Alton Sterling, man. I mean, it just breaks your heart. It's like, what are we supposed to do? And I watched your show yesterday, man, and everything you were talking about, how, the show before, you got the video, but you couldn't get it all. And so I watched the show before I went to sleep, man, and waking up this morning like a lot of people did.
Yeah.
I see the thing in Minnesota. And it's just, what are we supposed to do, man? I mean, it's open season. It's like they're hunting us like wild dogs. I mean, if the brother wasn't registered with his gun, and if he didn't have his license, then you know what the story and the narrative would be. African-American male, didn't have this, didn't have that. Woman was irate. They go ahead and write up the report. Business as usual.
Yep.
Thank God we got this social media stuff and these cameras. And I got to say, man, his girlfriend, that's one of the strongest sisters I've ever seen. In a type of traumatic situation that she went through.
Yeah. And that,
when
I
saw her.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, man, and, I watched that whole 10-minute video, and I was getting ready for work. And, brother, I had tears in my eyes when I heard that little girl, say what she said to her mama, man. And I told my girlfriend, I was like, damn, that could be me.
Yeah.
That could be my nephew. Hell, Ben, that could be you.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. That's the thing. It's universal. It's like open season. And, I mean, I kind of feel like there's going to be some type of revenge, retaliation, get back, because people are angry and people don't act like black people can be afraid. We're afraid. Fuck the cops. We're afraid because you can't go to the corner store. You can't go anywhere. You can have everything right. Hell, Ben, I went through the academy. I'm a lifetime correctional officer, though I work in sales. I know damn well there were people who graduated in the academy with me. They should not have a badge. They should have a gun. I would never want these people coming to my door. They would be talking about, oh, I want to get some. And that means they want to kick ass and thump people. That's not why people should be, being police, and you don't want those people in your community. But, I'll say this, man, and I'll turn it back over to you, man. I definitely respect everything that you do, man, and salute to you, brother. But, until the good cops that we hear about all the time on CNN and Fox News and all that, when they get off their ass and they have integrity and they tell on the bad cops and get them out of the way, that's then when things will change. It's not going to come from some other place, but because they're quiet and they foster, that particular cesspool of environment that they have, nothing's going to change. That's why it doesn't matter whether it's a white guy or it's the Asian cop or even, a couple of sellout Uncle Tom black cops who just don't like black people. It's a whole blue lives mentality, type thing, man. And I really feel like, being a black man in America today, what are we supposed to do? Because their old narratives about this, that, and the third, oh, Sandra Bland shouldn't have done this, oh, Freddie Gray shouldn't have done that, oh, Michael Brown didn't do it. Doesn't fucking matter. Nah. They're just going to murder us whenever they want, you know what I mean? But I'm out, Ben, man. I'm out. Yeah.
No, man. Thanks for the call, man. I could hear the frustration and I mean, I'm glad you guys can call in and express it. Because like last night, I felt that same frustration. And I said this, man. I said this. I think it's right for them to be afraid of us getting angry. of black anger, just anger in general, but particularly black anger. Let me tell you why. It's because if you're like me, you have been taught all of your life to hold that in and to control that and to not let people see you get angry. And so you don't want to come off as this angry black man, like, that's the worst thing in the world that you could be, is an angry black man. I legit had people tell me, don't be the angry black guy, Ben. And these are people who are supposed to be friends, right? I don't know if they are friends, but giving me bad, don't be the angry black guy. So we deny ourselves this emotion for years. We're trained to keep it in for years. And then all of a sudden you see a 15-year-old boy crying for his daddy, or a 4-year-old little girl having to console her mother and saying, it's okay, Mom, I'm here. And all of a sudden you start feeling something building up in you that you can't control. They should be afraid. They should. But instead of being afraid and creating and exacerbating the problem, they should be afraid and fix the damn problem instead of creating scenarios where the entire sleeping giant of black people who have been suppressing this anger for generations, for years, wakes up and says, to hell with it all. And I'm glad that you guys have a place that you can call and talk about it, because otherwise you'd be like me last night, walking around my house like ready to just go outside and tear some shit up. And thankfully I was able to tweet and get my thoughts out of my head and actually just say what I was able to express my rage through words, because otherwise probably would have just went downstairs and blew my own car up just out of frustration, just out of anger, just out of just being desperate and not knowing what to do. And it's I'm not a psychologist I'm an armchair psychologist, right? But it's the need to feel something, because if you're like me, you still watch this video, and the only time I felt something wasn't looking at his bloody body. I didn't feel anything. Only time I felt something was when I saw the daughter, when I heard her, and I heard her pain, and I heard her trying to console even the mother crying. That didn't faze me. And then you get so numb that you lash out. I said all that to say is that they have a reason to be afraid of black anger, but the way they're exacerbating the problem. They are creating the problem. They are fueling the anger, and they won't know. And when I say they, I'm not talking about just the bad cops. I'm talking about the good cops who are silent. I'm talking about a system that is complicit. I'm talking about people who do everything they can to remind us that our lives are not as important, even though they're in the middle of saying all lives matter. They are making the problem worse. And here we are back at the beginning where we started, trying to contain this anger and this rage and this frustration that has been building up for years. Trying to convince ourselves that we're okay. Trying to, we got it under control. We're good. We don't, I'm not going to go outside and burn some shit down, because I'm strong and I can control it all. And what I'm saying is, if we don't find a resolution, people are not going to be able to be strong forever. You cannot continue to expect citizens in general, black citizens in particular, to be strong and absorb a constant barrage of brutality every single day. All right, let me take this last caller. Then I need to get, I'm going to talk with Anoa Changa about this. Caller, you're live on the air. What's your name, comment, and or question?
Hey, Ben, it's PJ. Thank you, in terms of what you're saying, thank you for letting us callers and us viewers have a voice to let out this frustration, because holy shit.
Man.
This is getting too much. I just want to sort of give my viewpoint on what you said. Most of what you said is part of my point. Like, it's the system that allows cops to do all this, and the bad cops to do all this and hardly get punished. We don't scrutinize the police in general, not just the bad cops, but the culture. Yeah. And that's sort of what strikes me the hardest. It's not so much that that they do things and they don't get punished, but it's everything in the interim. In fact, a lot of the right-wing Fox News-esque pejoratives on black culture is pretty much projection of police culture, to me, in my viewpoint. Like how they're overly violent, or how they don't snitch on their own kind.
Yeah.
Or, you know, there's no accountability. All of that is part of the culture. If you keep training so many people, no matter what their race or upbringing, if you keep training people to throw their weight around with the consequence of having a gun, so if people don't listen to you, you can threaten to take their life and do so at a reduced, if minimal or any punishment, then what's going to happen? No matter, I have nothing bad to say about police in general, but we have this pervasive culture of violence within the police community, within the police culture, within the people that worship them and worship themselves, and think that, you know, like that they're the ultimate. So how can we? I think, okay, rather than ask a question, I'll propose. We should have a way to. We should figure out a way to break up the fraternity of cops that's so deep that they cannot out themselves, that they cannot fix their own problems. Everything involving police and their problems is retroactive. They wait until they do something bad and then do damage control. We can't have that anymore because it's coming at the cost of hundreds of lives per year. And despite all that, this would be my last point, despite all that, we're continuing to, we as a country, as a media, are continuing to portray this message that there's a war on cops. We're going to have Fox News, Bill O'Reilly, and all the other right-wing pundits say, Black Lives Matter are threatening cops by saying pigs in a blanket fry them like bacon. And yet whenever a cop executes a civilian without trial for a non-capital offense, they say, what was his past criminal record? What did he have on him?
Exactly.
I even saw someone brought up hours after I heard about Philando Castile. Someone brought up an apparent anti-Semitic tweet he made in 2011. Well, okay, I guess that sort of justifies it. What the hell is going on here? Why do we have to try to justify the public state-sanctioned executions?
PJ, thanks so much for that, man, because you led me directly where I wanted to go next. Thanks for the call. They have a vested interest in opposing any traction, not just Black Lives Matter, right? Not just civil rights, not just progress in general, progressivism, women's rights, LGBTQ rights. They conservatives and Democrats who are conservatives have a vested interest in stopping any traction whatsoever, which means they cannot give us an inch, not an inch. There can never be an example of someone who was wrongfully killed by the police for them. Because if there's a single example, then they have to start, the conversation is inevitable, right? If they find a single example that they cannot suppress, counter, or make it a wash, then all of a sudden they have to have a conversation that they've been trying to avoid for a very long time, which is the systemic problems that African Americans face in America. And on top of that, it will lead to the systemic problems that other people face in America, that poor people face in America. It will lead to a conversation about the systemic problems of poverty in America. It's all a snowball, right? They cannot give us an inch on issues pertinent to the Black community, because it will create a progressive narrative that will spill over into the broader American community, which will include a conversation about class, which will include a conversation about economics, which will inevitably lead to a conversation about the systemic problems of our capitalistic system, which they absolutely will never allow it to get that far. So they crush it at the very beginning, all the way back to a story by story by story basis. If there's a Black person who was killed by the police officer, under no circumstances can a conservative ever give way to the fact that the police officer could be wrong. Because if this Black person did one thing in third grade, they stole a crown in a color crown in third grade, then they deserve their execution when they were 34. Because this is the ridiculousness. This is the extent to which they would go to find something to crush that narrative. And it's because of that they can't even concede that the Dylan Noble, right, a white man who was killed by police officers. They can't bring themselves to talk about him, because if they talk about him, that will inevitably lead to arguments that support our entire contention, right? If they talk about Dylan Noble, then it will underscore what Black Lives Matter has been saying forever. And because they can never give any credence or give any hint of validity towards our arguments, a progressive argument, they are willing to completely ignore when this comes to their neighborhood, when this happens to a white boy driving a big truck, Dylan Noble. So they completely ignore that, with the exception of the people local in that community. As Sean King pointed out to me, that there are plenty of white people in his community who are outraged. But on a national level, all of these people talking about all lives matter, not a single one of them have said anything in terms of the police brutality, the killing of Dylan Noble. Because if they say something about that, then they have to say something about, they can't say something about Dylan and not say something about Alton. They can't say something about Dylan without saying something about Philando. And if they talk about those, then then their entire web of deceit and their entire world of lies starts falling underneath. So it's a very simple principle. They will not give us anything, and they want to take from us everything, just so that they can protect this world of deceit and this world of lies that they exist in. All right, I think I've blown the microphone so many times tonight. I don't know, guys. If it's busting, I'm sorry. I'll get it right next time when I'm not angry. But I'm joined by my sister from another Mr. Noah Chonga. How are you tonight?
I am doing better than I was earlier when we chatted.
Yeah.
Doing better than earlier. Shout out to JP for talking me down earlier and helping me start off my day right. Because it was hard waking up this morning. I know we all talked. I got to watch the first half of your show last night. We had a summer storm and our power was out, so I was on my phone in the car, and then I had to save the rest of my battery to get up this morning. But it was just so raw yesterday, and I was with you. Like, I was numb yesterday, right? Alton Sterling, like, in my time, I normally don't watch the videos because I'm already fired up. I'm already there. I already know we got work to do, so I don't need to see it to get me enraged. I don't need to go march with you someplace to be enraged. But you gotta be careful with Twitter, and I have the settings changed on my Facebook, but not on my Twitter. So I saw the video with Diamond, with Philando early this morning when I'm getting ready to get started with my day. And it just broke me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I kept saying in the chat earlier today. It just broke me. Like, it broke me, not because I never considered that could be someone in my family before, but it broke me because I don't know how she did it. Yeah. Like one of the callers said before, I don't know how she did. And I know she has said that with her daughter in the car, she had to stay calm for her angel. And that is just such strength. And wherewithal. The fact that she not only recorded, but she got on Facebook Live.
Yeah.
Right? She got on Facebook Live because they could seize your phone. They can try and delete the file. They can do a lot. But she got on Facebook Live. Right. And that was just so smart. That was such quick thinking. So it just broke me this morning, just sitting there, and she was so calm, and you can hear the cop's voice, and he's freaking out, and she's like, "No, you told him to reach for his license, so that's what he did, and then you shot him in the," like, she's narrating what happened.
Yeah.
In the present moment, right? Because the cops, depending upon where they are, they get certain amount of time before they can be questioned, right? They get sequestered, basically. Yeah. Like, I think in Louisiana, it's up to 30 days. Right. I'm not sure what it is in Minnesota, but it's...
That's the... Let me jump in there because it's so... I want to say heartbreaking, but when you don't feel anything, it's like, did my heart really break? Like, and I'm hearing this refrain over and over again. Like, we're just so numb to it. And I feel like it's its own type of trauma because, between trying to identify with them and trying to feel for and be empathetic, we have to be empathetic so many times to the point where it's like every other week we're identifying. And this week it was day after day. We're identifying and trying to connect and trying to be empathetic with the pain and suffering of other people. And it just has been chipping away at our souls for a very long time. And to see her be that strong, I'm mad. I'm mad because she had to be that strong. Like, I don't think people should have to demonstrate that type of strength, you know, and you never know what life is going to throw at you. So, you know, be ready to be strong in the moment, right? Everybody wants to demonstrate how strong they are. I get it.
Yeah.
And I respect that. Like, for me, I always say if something goes down, if somebody's going to take me out, it's never going to be my knees in the dirt. If I'm going to die, I'm going to die on my feet, right? So you want to be able to show that strength, but you never really want people to have to show that strength. And that's what she did last night. She just sat there in the middle of her life could have ended, right? And she was they could have mistook her phone for a gun, as ignorant as some of them are. And she stayed collected and narrated.
Exactly.
And I just hate that she had to do that.
And what was so, and he was still freaking out. Philando's shot. He's still freaking out, pointing a gun. And like we all now know, we didn't necessarily know when you're originally watching it, by the end of the video that there's a child in the car as well. Like, so you have this scared cop. Both of them are still buckled in. He's slumped over, buckled in, moaning in pain. Like, it's the most devastating thing I've ever seen. And I'm traumatized watching it on Twitter. So I can only imagine her sitting there.
Yeah.
But killing was, he was like, let me see your hands. She's like, my hands. And she was just so calm, and she was just so peaceful and serene. But what bothered me the most about both of these incidents is everyone's already been discussing. Both men, from what we know, right, had guns on them that they were legally permitted to carry, based on what we know, right? What's the point of having conceal and carry laws? Like, where, like somebody's been, like, people have been saying all over Twitter all day, where's the NRA on this?
Right.
What is the point of having conceal and carry laws? What is the point of fighting for the sanctity of the Second Amendment if not everybody is permitted to carry like they're supposed to?
But you know the answer to that. You know the answer.
Oh no, I most definitely know the answer. I mean, when the Panthers, we already know, when the Panthers were openly carrying weapons in California, exercising their constitutional rights, that's when the NRA got when Ronald Reagan was like, no, we need some gun control because these Negroes is out of control. So I mean,
and I'm laughing because I can see the conversation, right? They are willing. They are so fearful of blackness. And I'm telling you, they should be afraid. I'm telling you, you should be afraid, but not afraid in the sense that you're going to continue to make the problem worse. Because if you keep making the problem worse, you're going to have something on your hands this is where we're going, Anoa. You're getting to a place where not a single damn preacher can calm us down. Not a politician, not John Lewis, not TD Jakes, not freaking Kirk. Nobody is going to be able to speak to the black community and tell us to chill out, because we've been chilling out for so long and we've been taking it on the chin for so long. We've been observing these injustices for so long. Like, some of you have been, there's an entire generation of people who all they have known is seeing images of black people being devastated by cops on television. And I'm telling you, they're playing a dangerous game, thinking that we can still be controlled by that figurehead black leader. But the truth of the matter is, I don't want to hear a goddamn thing from John Lewis. I don't want to hear a thing from TD Jakes. Exactly. I don't want to hear a thing from Jamal Bryant. None of them can speak to the anger that's fueling inside of us. And because what are we supposed to do? Just keep, you cannot hit a person all the time, every day of their life, and not expect for them to turn around and bitch slap you one day. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Anoa.
Well, no. Like, I absolutely agree. And I am like Sean King had a piece. It's a crazy week for the New York Daily News, right?
Yeah.
Like, the New York Daily News, which once vilified the Central Park Five and has its own sordid history with actual representation and accurately depicting, these types of incidences, you know, in terms of blacks in the criminal justice system and other stuff. Like the New York Daily News has had like a wild time with its, you know, with coverage the past 2 days. You know, Sean had a piece yesterday about, you know, stop telling us, you know, basically not to be angry. We fired up, we angry, but we need to channel that someplace, right? I'm never going to tell somebody not to be mad. I'm never going to tell somebody not to be upset and angry and frustrated and raging. I just need I just need us to channel it. We need to channel it into action items. You know what I'm saying? Like folks can get real mad. We got a lot of people running around talking about revolution. I don't think y'all really know, and we've been saying this for quite some time. You know, folks, you know, those of us who've come together under the Bernie Sanders mantle, with him also supposedly, possibly endorsing Hillary Clinton soon.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all know what the hell what real revolution is, because quite honestly, these petitions and, oh, let's go sing Kumbaya here. Nah, man, like I need you to stand up right now. Like, I need you to stand up right now, because issues of racial justice cannot be solved by blacks, Latinos, Asians. It can't be solved by people of color alone. White people have to be willing to stand up and talk to other white people about what is going on in America right now. We need people to open their eyes. And I appreciate so many people, you know what I'm saying, out there who are willing to do so. But there's a lot of folks out there who'll be real quick to try and throw one of them stupid pictures of Bernie from the 60s in our face. See, Bernie's for you. What the hell are you doing today? I don't care what happened 50-something years ago. I'm talking about right now. And it's real brave for people to tweet on Twitter, but I need you to show up. I need you to make sure, I don't care if you only got 5 black people in your community. I need you to make sure that your cops aren't excessively killing people unnecessarily, whether they black, brown, purple, yellow, green, blue.
You know what?
This is a problem. Go ahead.
Yeah, let me know. Let me jump in there because you said something that's so important that Dr. Monique Morris corrected me on. She said that we see, and when she was talking about young black girls and their disparate treatment in the school system and how they're so quickly criminalized and thrown into the criminal justice system, and we wait until we see these extreme examples of North Carolina police officer Scott, I shouldn't have tried his name, but the officer who body slammed a young black girl, and we look at that and say, wow, how did this happen? It happened by slowly but surely not crushing or not stopping those aggressions that build up to that. And so it's not that we need white people to wait until, you know, to make sure that that black people in their neighborhood aren't getting killed. We need white people to make sure that black people in their neighborhood aren't getting disrespected and getting marginalized and getting just profiled, and just all those little things that ultimately lead up to the big thing of someone getting killed. It has to start with making sure that those jokes aren't being told in your community, right? In your family, making sure that the police officer who's on the beat in your neighborhood actually has a relationship with more than just you. Make sure they have a relationship with the black people on your street, right? So it's got to start so much further before the actual crime of murder, because otherwise we'll look back and we'll be like, wow, how the hell did this happen? Well, it started with just that police officer being new to the neighborhood, not really trusting anybody, not really knowing anybody, getting familiar with the white families, but not so much with the black families. That's how it starts. That's the very first step. Anoa, go ahead. I'll let you get the last word, then I'm going to try to shift gears.
Okay. No problem. I was just gonna say that, you know, I just think about, you know, you guys know I always got my little pop culture references and stuff, but when you just said we need to make sure those jokes aren't told, it makes me think of that episode of A Different World where they have the rivalry game between Hillman and the white school, and Dwayne Wayne and Ron and all them. They had gotten into a fight with Dean Cain and some other white students, and they were all in a jail cell. And the one guy who was reluctant to be there, he tells the joke, and he's like, you know, it was so hard for me because I grew up, I had black friends, I grew up, and here's my dad who I look up to, and my grandpa who I look up to, and they're like, well, what do you call a black doctor? And it's like an N. And he just said that just shook his whole world. And that type of stuff happens so often. And we do have to be willing to challenge that in our families, in our communities. We can't just sit idly by and just let this stuff happen. You know, I am so thankful right now, like living in Atlanta, it's hot. You know, the police are everywhere, no matter whether you're in a good neighborhood or not. I'm so thankful that my son is tucked away in West Virginia with his summer family, where everybody knows him, where he is loved and cared for, and in this safe little bubble world. I'm just so happy that that's where he's at this summer right now, because, you know, I got a 12-year-old who's 5'9", 145 pounds. So he's probably 5'10" or 11 by the time he gets back home. But my kid is big for his age.
Yeah.
And, sudden moves, people be getting scared unnecessarily. But the very last thing, and I know you got to go, but we need to continue challenging the notions. We need actionable items, and we need to be active and engaged in the process. I just tweeted out, I found an ACLU manual about how to address, police behavior basically at a community level from 1997. And it has research going back through the 60s and 70s. So there are steps, there are guidebooks, there are things out there that we as communities need to get organized, and we need to not just be the black people over here, and the white people over there. We need to work together where we can in spaces, and we need to work separately in our own communities to do what needs to be done. So I appreciate you very much for always having the time for conversation. Y'all check that out on Twitter, and just be open to what's going on. But please just stop acting like Bernie is the savior, because people on my timeline today acting like Bernie was going to save us all. I've been telling y'all for months, Bernie is not a savior. Bernie is a man. What y'all going to do when Bernie sells you out and joins the other side? Like, seriously, what you going to do? Are you going to keep moving forward, or you going to be stuck with, oh my God? No, we got work to do. We got us this far. And for people who've been grinding in the struggle for decades, centuries, this is an endemic issue in America. This is not brand new.
Right.
We just got video cameras on our cell phones now and live streaming capabilities. So I'm out. I appreciate you so much.
Love
Talk
you,
to y'all
Anoa.
later.
All
Love
right,
you
see you
too.
next time. 857-600-0518 if you want to join the conversation. Speaking of, what are you going to do if Bernie Sanders endorses Hillary Clinton? That's the question. What are you going to do? What I'm going to do is say, I told you so. I mean, not to be petty, but y'all know I'm petty. I am. But I told you guys, fully expect Bernie Sanders to endorse Hillary Clinton, not because he believes in her, not because he wants some concessions from her, but because he wants to stop Donald Trump. Now, you can agree with them or you can disagree with them, but it's come out today that Bernie Sanders is hinting that he is going to go forward with this endorsement of Hillary Clinton. And one thing I do know about some of the Bernie or Buzz crowd is that you guys will just as soon turn on Bernie Sanders as you would anyone else. So I'm not telling you guys what to do in this aspect. I'm simply saying, don't allow this turning point to be a stumbling block, because we should have expected it. I expected it. We should have calculated for it, and you just keep moving beyond it. Let him do what he's going to do. I don't think that this, for me, and you came here for my opinion, so I'm going to give it to you. This doesn't invalidate him from being a strong contributor to this progressive revolution. I'm not going to hold this endorsement against him. You can. Feel free to. I'm not going to tell you not to, but I won't hold this endorsement against him so much that I will never allow him to be a spokesperson for or a contributor to this revolution. He may not be the leader, but he most certainly can always be a contributor, in my opinion. Now, Elizabeth Warren, on the other hand, someone who didn't have the nerve and the gall to make an endorsement during the middle of the primaries, somebody like her, I don't even want her to be a spokesperson for the progressive movement, because she didn't have the heart to stand up for the progressive movement when we needed someone to. Bernie Sanders had the heart. He took it on the chin. He went the distance. And so I'm not going to personally hold it against him that he endorses Hillary Clinton, because I think he really believes that Donald Trump is far worse than Hillary Clinton. And quite a few people would agree with that assessment. So get ready. I think in the next week, we're going to see a full-throated endorsement of Hillary Clinton by Bernie Sanders. Speaking of Hillary Clinton, let's see if I have some information on her. So today there was a hearing on Capitol Hill with FBI Director James Comey, and the hearing was in regard to the investigation that he came out and spoke on Monday. Was it Monday or Tuesday? Tuesday. Monday was a holiday. So the Republicans in charge, led by Jason Chaffetz, committee chairman of the Oversight and Government Reform Committee, they really were trying to find whatever they could to, I don't even want to say understand Comey's decision. they were trying to find and poke holes in Comey's decision. And there's one particular exchange that that really stood out to me. Comey all but admitted that Clinton freely gave access to classified information to uncleared third parties, meaning that in the middle of her telling us all this primary season that she didn't even get classified information sent through that email, and she didn't send classified information through the emails. It's come out through James Comey that not only did she receive and transmit classified documents, but she also gave access to these documents to people who are not even cleared to view these documents. Some of the names that came up with Pagliano, I believe that's the IT guy, and then her lawyers who are not cleared to see this information. So that's one thing that came out today. Another thing that came out was this exchange. Let me read this exchange between Chavez and Comey. So Chavez, Republican, said, "Did any uncleared people have access to classified information?" Comey, "I don't think so." Chavez, "Did Brian Pagliano have clearance?" Comey, "I can't remember. He wasn't on the email chains." Chavez, "But he was running the server. He set it up." Comey, FBI Director Comey says, "Sorry, I misunderstood. There is no doubt that uncleared people had access to the server." Chavez, "Did Clinton's attorney have security clearance?" Comey, "No." Chavez, "What are the consequences of someone directing an uncleared person to go through classified documents?" Comey, "Depends on the intent." Chavez, "Sounds like it doesn't matter if there's a security clearance." Ultimately, the conversation ended on this. Comey all but said someone who gives a person access that is not cleared in his department would be fired, or they would have their access revoked at a minimum. Now, it's hard to think of the Republicans doing anything other than a witch hunt, because that's all they're good at, are witch hunts. But this exchange is really revealing, because it shows that not only was Clinton lying to us, which I think there should be no surprise, right? There's no mystery about that. Everybody's clear. Clinton outright lied about not receiving or transmitting classified information. But not only that, but Comey did not unpack the fact that there were people who were never cleared to receive confidential information, top secret information, that then had access to this top secret information. Now, whether or not that's a big enough deal to hang your hat there or fall on your sword over that issue, we don't know. But the State Department has decided now that they're ready to reopen their investigation into the emails. They suspended their investigation pending the outcome of the FBI investigation. And now, since the FBI investigation is over, they have come back, and now they are going to continue with their investigation. And it appears, based on the findings of FBI Director Comey and the FBI department, the FBI rather, her top aides, Cheryl Mills, I can't think of the other name. Goodness, this is what you do when you try to think of names. But her top aides, they stand the chance of missing or losing their security clearances. So, in other words, let me translate. Hillary Clinton's staff will more than likely be punished for Hillary Clinton's actions, but Hillary Clinton herself won't be punished for Hillary Clinton's actions. Welcome to America 2016. Or is it more like 1984? But, again, I said it. I've been saying it for a long time. I never expected Hillary Clinton to get indicted, ever. Because, like I said, in regard to the shootings, this entire system is the problem. The system is designed to protect itself. There's no way you're going to get someone who is this entrenched in the Democratic establishment, in the political establishment for that matter, who is so close to becoming the president of the United States. There's no way in hell this system was ever going to indict Hillary Clinton. But what it has done is given the Republican Party enough ammunition to give Hillary Clinton hell through the rest of the general election. I mean, they've given Donald Trump, if Donald Trump would just shut his mouth, right? This is why part of me thinks Donald Trump is really just there to sabotage the Republican Party, because no matter what gift Hillary Clinton gives him, he manages to go one step further into the lunacy and the idiocy of the Republican Party. I mean, he manages to trump, pun intended, I guess. He manages to trump all of the fodder that is given, that Hillary Clinton gives them, and to do something so stupid that people forget about the fact that Hillary Clinton has been lying to us about emails for a long time. So here we are again, stuck with Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, and I don't know what to tell you. I'm not going to tell you what to do. But so we'll keep our eye on FBI Comey, Director Comey and his testimony and the State Department investigation. But again, I don't think anything is going to come of it. I just think it's going to continue to fuel the Republican machine and actually put us at risk of having a President Donald Trump. That's really the totality of this. All right, we're running down on time. So let me take this caller. Then I want to talk about Trump a little bit more. Caller, you are live on the air. What is your name, comment, and or question?
Hi, my name is Kimberly.
Hi, Kim.
And I'm very happy to get a chance to see your show. I'm actually in Malaysia. I'm working here, and so I have to see you in the morning because I'm 14 hours ahead of Eastern Standard Time. And I happen to be off for the Eid of the Muslim holy days, so I'm very happy to have this opportunity to get a chance to see you.
Well, I'm very happy. Hang on. Let me tell you, I'm very happy that you're taking this time and this time of morning to speak with me. So thank you so much for joining us. What's on your mind?
Okay. Well, first of all, I would like to say that I have with you 100%. I always expected Bernie to endorse Hillary. I'm not disappointed. I expected it. I don't feel any obligation to vote for any Democratic candidate. Yep. I'm not a party person. I'm a little bit older than you. I had the opportunity to vote for Bill Clinton when he ran. I did not vote for him. I voted for Lenore Fulani. So when she ran against him. So I feel as though I have no obligation to vote for another Clinton. And I haven't decided what I'm going to do, but I will not vote for Hillary. So that's one thing. Another thing, this is what I would like for you to think about it. I think you've already started when you frame the narrative around police officers being afraid. I like the way you framed it. But my question is, are they afraid or are they filled with hatred? Because when you're filled with hatred, some of the characteristics look as though you're afraid. And so, you know, the black men are, I mean, there's this vision of black men as being evil, dangerous, and all these things. Then you can hate that also. So when I watched that video, I didn't want to watch it, but I watched it, and I didn't see fear. I saw hate. That's what I saw. And so my thing is, if we're married to the narrative of police officers are afraid, then that always gives them something to fall back on.
Well, you know, I agree. So I like that. I like that. I like what you said. I want to unpack what you said a little bit. But when I say they're afraid, I also take that from the vantage point of they're cowards. That to me, if you're that fearful of everything walking, why the hell are you a police officer? Right? If you don't have the courage, the capacity to confront situations that may be terrifying to you for whatever reason, then you are not qualified, in my opinion, to be on the street with a gun. You know, so when I say they're afraid, you know, I think they should be afraid because we're about to explode on their faces if they don't get this stuff right. Right. But then on the other side of that coin, they shouldn't be out there in the first place if they're not bold enough to confront situations without going in guns blazing out of fear, even if that fear is triggered by hatred. Now, let me say one other thing about what you just said, because what you said is really brilliant and I really appreciate it. I was watching, and I have to put it in pop culture, right? I was watching Fear the Walking Dead. love The Walking Dead, but Fear the Walking Dead, and the gentleman who's from Colombia in the show, right? He's from a regime that was dictatorial and oppressive regime, and he was having a conversation with his father, and his father told him, "Don't hate these people. They're not evil. They're just afraid." And the main character said it was at that point he realized his father was a fool, because there's no difference between someone who is acting out of being evil and someone who's acting out of being afraid. So it goes right along with what you just said. Evil, hatred, fear, whatever the root of it is, it's all the same results. Therefore, it is in a lot of ways, it's the same thing. So thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. I'm gonna let you get one more word in there, and then I'm gonna go somewhere else. Go ahead, get that last word.
Thank you very much. My last word is just another thing to think about. One thing that is troubling me is the relationship between Black people and police officers, and I'm seeing a similarity between Palestinians and Israeli military. Some of the tactics are the same, some of the characteristics are the same. So I'm really concerned where this is going to lead up, because we haven't hit the climax yet. So my thing is, where are we headed? And I see a similarity, and that's the last thing I wanted to say.
Thanks so much for that call. I really appreciate it. I'm glad you called in. You stayed up over there in Malaysia to call in. We're not at the end. We're close. Because I say we're close because there's a boiling point. There's a brewing point. I mean, something's got to change. And what has to change is what Mark Lamont Hill said. He said there has to be a societal change. The very perception of Black people in America, that has to change. That the way even if it's perceived fear, this irrational fear, that has to change. Even if it's hatred, that has to change, because eventually, it's going to be one time too many, where it's not isolated in a single city, but it's nationwide, because we are now in a society where we can all experience it nationwide simultaneously. Imagine if Ferguson had been live streamed. So, I'm not going to, my job is, I don't know, sometimes I feel like my job is to just speak to you, and hopefully my words can console you, but I don't want to console you. I don't want to tell you to go out. I'm not going to tell you to go and burn some shit down, because that's not in my psyche. But I will tell you this, that eventually it gets to the point where you don't know what to do. And when you don't know what to do, then all of a sudden it does present a major problem for everybody. So I'm not here to tell you to calm down. I'm here to tell you to find a way to fix this now before it becomes a bigger problem. All right, I got to get off of that subject, because that thing drains me. All right, we're going to close with this. I've got to talk about two of the dumbest tweets in the world. Two of the dumbest tweets in the world. The first one is on your screen, is by our local Hillary Clinton bro. He's the official Hillary bro. Bros for Hillary, I think, is the name of his website. Peter Dow. Peter Dow tweets, Black Americans mercilessly slaughtered in our streets, but Republicans are busy trying to indict Hillary in the media. Hashtag Philando Castile. Let me tell you why this is the dumbest tweet. The first of two dumbest tweets in the world. Number one, you are not going to use the name of someone killed, a Black man, even if it's a white person, but right now, a Black man killed by the police. You're not going to use that as a means of promoting a presidential candidate. I don't care if that candidate was Bernie Sanders. You are not going to take the life and the slaughter and the misery and the pain of an entire community, Peter, and use that to promote your candidate. By the way, you're getting paid to promote this candidate. So now you're making money off the back of this Black life. And I'm gonna tell you why it's stupid. It's one of the dumbest tweets in the world. It's because you're trying to make it seem as though we're incapable of addressing more than one thing at one time. and you're trying to make it seem like the only people who have problems with Hillary Clinton's email scandal are Republicans, when in actuality, many Democrats, many independents, many people have problems with Hillary Clinton's email situation. So it's dumb for two reasons. One is dumb because, and actually dumb may not be the right word, but it's a maliciously dumb tweet. It's a dumb tweet because you're using the life of a dead black man. You're using him as a prop to enhance and promote Hillary Clinton, a politician. Please go jump off of a bridge. And while you do it, send me a tweet, a live tweet, so we can witness it. The second dumbest tweet of the day, brought to you in part by Donald J. Trump. Donald Trump, in the middle of all that's going on, Donald Trump tweets this. He tweets an image of Frozen, the video Frozen, with a 50 sticker star on there. And that star happens to be a 6-point star for everyone listening on the radio. And he says, where is the outrage for this Disney book? Is this the Star of David also? Dishonest media. Hashtag Frozen. This is a man running for the president of the United States. This is a man who is going to be potentially have access to nuclear codes. This is a man who is going to be responsible for maintaining the international relationships that we have, to sit across the table from Putin, to sit across the table from other global leaders and try to negotiate deals and try to negotiate and maintain a peace. And yet this dumb motherfucker is tweeting stuff about Frozen and a 6-point star just so that he can absolve himself from the latest news cycle blunder. I'm sorry. Donald Trump cannot be the president of the United States. That doesn't mean I want Hillary Clinton to be, but damn it, it can't be Donald Trump either. Because one, there's no way we would survive it. There's no way the office of the presidency would survive it, because there's not a single day of the week that I would not wake up and refer to him as President Kiss My Ass. He is not deserving of a modicum of respect, not a little bit. And I can't imagine giving him this respect just because he's the president of the United States. I mean, go one step further. Do you see the way Republicans disrespected President Obama over the last 8 years? I mean, the unprecedented level of disrespect that we have never before seen. And what I'm trying to tell you, Democrats, Republicans, independents, Americans, all above, if you think you disrespected President Obama, wait till I get my hands on a president kiss my ass, Donald Trump. There will never be a day where he will have the respect of me or people like me. And if the office of the presidency declines because of it, then you earned it, you deserved it, and that's what America will look like. Good night.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog, join the Progressive Army, and support The Benjamin Dixon Show. It's Ben Dixon! If you like this episode, be sure to share, like, and subscribe.
Consider becoming a Patreon. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show and support The Benjamin Dixon Show.